Real quick, we want to do an update on immigration. So we asked Hugo Rojas, who's an immigration attorney with Scott D. Pollock and Associates, to stop in. There's been a lot going on, Hugo. This whole deal about denying visas to immigrants who lack health care coverage because, so many people come to this country who have really good health insurance plans. Where does this stand?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it just came out on a Friday at 7 o'clock.
Which is when most of these things drop.
Exactly. It was a proclamation. It was a very flimsy proclamation, which is striking given how serious the impact is and how many people it affects. It basically says that if you can't prove that you have insurance or have the ability to get insurance in the United States unsubsidized, meaning no Affordable Care Act for you, you will be denied admission to the United States. So this would affect people who are trying to get an immigrant visa to come to the U.S., but it wouldn't affect people who are already here trying to adjust their status, for instance.
And there's also, I don't know that this has been written into any kind of order yet, but I know that Jared Kushner has been touting this merit-based system. If you're the best and the brightest, you get in, otherwise you don't, which sort of goes against that whole bootstrap American dream of come here and with 20 cents in your pocket and establish a successful company.
Right, which is also kind of a con job because we already kind of have a merit-based system in the U.S. It's a combination of both. If you want to come to the U.S., you can either be sponsored by a family member, or you need to show you have a job of some sort, or you can show that you have $1 million or $500,000 to invest in the U.S. The job portion of the people who we admit to be immigrants include people who have a Nobel Peace Prize, or Mick Jagger. If Mick Jagger wants to become a U.S. citizen, there's a fast track for him. People who are the top of their field. We already have that. So when they're trying to say we're going to change immigration because we let everyone in already, that's just a lie, because it's what we have right now is a very restrictive system as it is.
Since you were last here, what changes have you seen trickle down into your practice? Are the regulations becoming more complex, or is it just shifting sands?
Yeah, it's always been complex. This area of the law. There's what the statutes say, and there's what the guidance says and that guidance is can change on a monthly basis, and that's always kind of been the way. It's what's going on right now, though. It's like drinking water with a fire hose. Like every month, there's a massive shift. This directive, or this proclamation to ban immigration, basically, if you can't show that you can buy insurance, is the latest. But there are others. There's the public charge ban that we talked about before is going to go into effect next week. As of October 15th, if you can't prove that you won't ever be on public support of some kind, you could be banned from immigrating to the U.S. Now, what does that mean for people who are already in the pipeline now? People who are following the rules, maybe hired a lawyer, maybe trying to do it on their own, presented themselves to the government to try to do the right thing and get a green card or immigrate and stand in line just like they're supposed to. As of the 15th, every immigration form, the vast majority of immigration forms that affect immigrants trying to normalize their position, their state and status in the U.S., are going to be expired as of October 15th. No big deal, right? Because there should be a new form available for them on October 15th that would reflect the new rules for public charge, right?
Right.
Not so. If, as of right now, there is no new form for to
Wait a
apply
minute.
for
What
immigrant
happens
benefits.
then on October 15th?
Essentially, unless the court intervenes, immigration will stop.
Just stop
You
dead.
will not be able to apply for immigrant benefits if you're, for instance, if you're adjusting status and you qualify for it, and you don't happen to have all your documents ready to file by October 15th, there's no updated form you can use on October 15th or October 16th or October 17th to file for those benefits. And you're basically at the mercy of the government to, whenever it gets around to it, to issue an updated form.
Which, with this government, because they do things with subterfuge and backhanded, that would be a perfect way to stop immigration, wouldn't it? Just simply not reissue the form.
That would be a way. That would be a way. And so I think that that is the most pressing issue right now in immigration. So this week is a pretty busy week.
Oh my, I imagine you're working 24/7.
If
You've got to get this paperwork in.
If you have a way to adjust your status, if you have a way to extend your status, if
that's a week from today.
It's a week from today. Everything has to be postmarked by Monday. So, people who are gathering documents as evidence are hustling these last couple of weeks. And of course, when did that announcement come out? October 1st. But that just goes to illustrate the point you were making in the question you were asking, which is what's new in immigration law. Every day, it seems like there's something new.
Well, okay. So I would imagine if everybody gets their documents in by Monday, those people, you can still work with, they're in the pipeline. But if you don't, you lose.
You just have to wait.
You have to, and have you been given any kind of time frame for when these new documents will be available?
Right now, there are only draft versions of these forms available. And again, I just want to illustrate something, emphasize something, not illustrate something. It's not just a matter of a form not being available online and you being able to go to the post office and get it. The forms don't exist. So even though you may qualify to apply for a green card or extension of status, after the 15th, you won't be able to apply because the government won't have a form available for you to apply for those benefits. And so to answer your question directly, there is no timeline as to when those new forms will be available. So it could be a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, it could be a month. We don't know. And so in response to that, and because it's a gross abuse of due process for people who are trying to do the right thing and actually comply with the law, there's been a lawsuit filed as of October 7th, today, to try to get to get an injunction on the public charge rule being implemented.
And is this lawsuit filed locally or is this nationally?
It's filed in the D.C. Circuit Court by the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which most immigration lawyers are members of, including myself.
So your organization is saying this will not stand. We are going to shine a spotlight on this and not let you quietly get away with it.
Right. And just to be clear, there are several lawsuits that have been filed in response to the public charge rule being announced. It was announced 2 months ago. The American Immigration Lawyers Association filed this one. This is a very narrow part of the legal fight to get this thing stopped, and it has mostly to do with the fact that just as a due process, from a due process perspective, you can't just spring on people the fact that they're out of luck. They can't apply for immigration benefits just because there's no forms, and have that happen with 2 weeks' notice.
Man, oh man. I'm trying to follow the news of the day and the Supreme Court cases and the impeachment, and it just seems like it's just one thing after another. But you're getting one thing after another, and it's affecting the lives of families and kids and moms and dads.
There's a real human cost to this. I mean, I think that there's a danger in when you talk about this kind of stuff, talk about forms and policies and, a comma here affecting how something is adjudicated. It sounds very dry. What this really means is people just don't, think about how in your life, I'm a planner. I like predictability. I like to know if I do A, B, C, D is going to follow. for millions of people in this country who are here with permission. I'm not even talking about people here who are here undocumented. People who are here with permission, documented. The level of uncertainty and the extent to which the government is, just to be blunt, toying with them is outrageous. And so, from that perspective, it really lights a fire on all of us to do the best job that we can, because again, a lot of people's livelihoods and a lot of people's futures and mental health is being messed with on a daily basis because of this stuff.
I can't imagine the kind of stress. I mean, we've seen evidence of this. As I was talking to another representative from an immigration group, and she said that a lot of families are like blended families. You know, there'll be a mixture of people there on a visa. There'll be a mixture of people who are American citizens.
Yes, or people who are undocumented in the same family.
And what the stress that must bring. And it's a daily basis. It's a chronic stress. It's not just one episode. It's just the hits keep on coming in this area.
Right. And again, it's one thing, and some people will try to make themselves feel or rationalize their way into reason their way into making themselves feeling better by saying things like, well, if that person or this person or that person had done things legally, whatever that means, then they wouldn't be in this situation. That may or may not be true, but we're talking about people who are here
and doing it, trying to do it legally.
Correct. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think that at some point you have to call things like they are, and this government is really pushing the limits on the legality of their moves when it comes to immigration law.
Well, is there a possibility that your lawsuit with your organization could result in some kind of judicial action that will force the hand of the people who are holding up this document?
Yeah, there's a good chance that the courts will intervene and at least issue an injunction and stop it while the merits are being adjudicated. But it may not be soon enough until Friday. Hopefully, it won't take too long, so at least people can get their petitions and apply for the benefits that they've been working for. So there's a chance that that's going to happen. I mean, there's also going to be a lawsuit filed for this health insurance issue that we talked about at the beginning of our talk. There's real questions as to whether or not it's even legal. Again, it's a flimsy document. It's not very well. There's not very much in the way of support in terms of justifying the costs of legal immigrants have with respect to the health system. And there's a question as to whether or not the proclamation itself contradicts the Immigration Naturalization Act.
Hugo, thank you so much.